Hello and welcome to Hanratty on Karate, another podcast. I'm not sure how many we're up to now, but it's a fair number. So many of you who know me will know that I had quite a big event last week, and that was my 80th birthday. No big thing to reach 80, to be honest with you. It's something you're all going to do unless something happens prior. So, students say, well, you've been doing this a long time, been doing karate a long time, and you're still doing it at 80, and what's your secret to keeping fit and keeping going? Well, it's no secret, really. All you have to do is train. And that's what I've done since I started karate. It grabbed me, it interested me, and it challenged me. And I think it was the challenge more than anything else that made me push it and push the way I did. And for quite a few years, I was training twice a day, every day. Even went into the dojo on Christmas Day, which used to be a tradition at the Triangle in Liverpool, but I think it dropped over the years. Certainly didn't see it too much in the late 70s, early 80s. But we did, and there wasn't many of us went in, but there was always a few there. There was enough to, go through your stuff and do a bit of sparring, a few kata and stuff like that. And it was just a different attitude to karate at that time than it is today, especially with sports karate, which is not karate, really. You're doing sport karate, all you're doing is doing the, dancing around, sparring stuff, or you pick a kata and you concentrate on it. And what the aim is to take any style out of kata, so you can do whatever kata you want, and they're just going to judge you on the performance, or really non-performance basic, because it's also very autonomous. If you like stop-starts, flashy, flicky, fast movements, nobody's really interested in what it's for. They just pound it out. And the majority that you see are either the flashy katas like Unsu, Kankusho, or the mediocre katas, I call them mediocre katas, the safe katas like Goju Shihosho, which is pretty safe kata when you look at it. Now, it can be done very well, I agree. But when you look at what's being done for so-called world competitions or national competitions, there's no inkling of what the techniques are for or why they're doing them. But anyway, that's them. As I say, everyone to his own. If you want to practice dancing, you practice dancing. Ice skating, you practice ice skating. But you don't call it boxing, all right? And it's the same with karate. If you want to practice sports stuff, then just call it sports, MA or whatever. Please don't call it karate, because it's not, all right? So anyway, I was really surprised at my birthday because the students, and not just my students, but also people from other organizations and styles, got together and decided that they would give me a Dan ranking, which I don't feel I deserved. I'll be honest with you. Dan rankings don't mean that much. You don't do an awful lot to earn them after, say, 5th or 6th Dan. After 5th or 6th Dan, basically you just got to stick around long enough and you're going to get them. I'm not saying that's what I done, because on my 80th birthday, I was in the dojo and I did perform my birthday kata, although it wasn't comparable to my 4th and 5th dans who did it with me. But I did it to the best of my ability at my age, and I did get through it, and I'm happy I did that. And if you're interested, I did Gion, and it wasn't too bad. Maybe the kicks would have only caught you in the groin, but hey, that's okay. It's not a bad place to pick for a kick if you're going to kick. So anyway, everything went well, and I had a fantastic surprise party organized by my wife. It was absolutely amazing, and total surprise. I just didn't have an inkling what was going on. I was told we were going to a dinner and a show, which really suited me. Nice, quiet dinner, just the two of us. And then I'd go to a show, relax, probably fall asleep during the film. But no, she was a little sneaky about it. She said, I have to pick the tickets up at this place. And of course, the place we went to was 60 or 70 people waiting for me to scream surprise. And it was a surprise. I hadn't even took my sunglasses off. I'd left my other glasses in the car. Anyway, it was an amazing evening. I got to talk to a lot of people I hadn't seen for a long time. Old students came back to say hi and wish me all the best. It made me feel very special. And if you know me, you know that I like a drop of rum, being an old sailor. And I got enough rum to give a shot to the home fleet. But probably last me till I'm 90. But it was very much appreciated. And also all the gifts and best wishes that everybody gave me. Now, some of my students later on in the year doing the trip to Okinawa. Now, I won't be going with them, but I helped them, get stuff ready and told them what to expect. And a few weeks ago, I did a little lecture on karate history in the club and its roots in Okinawa. And in one of my books, the Shotokan Handbook, I have a list of katas and their origins from Okinawa and even as far back as the Chinese mainland, if I could get them or if I could research them that far. And I managed to go through quite a few and get the origins right, mostly through researching or just looking up a lot of Patrick McCarthy's work, who's a fantastic historian and a fantastic martial artist, and we're not the same style. Patrick started years ago at a different style, and he's moved on through there. However, he did spend a lot of time with Richard Kim, and one of my students who's going to Okinawa said that in this trip they're planning on taking a weapons class. And did I know anything about weapons or kabudo? Now, I haven't done weapons for a long time, but I did know something about it, and it was because of Richard Kim. I was at one of the La Jolla camps in San Diego in the mid-'80s. I can't remember, maybe 83 or 84, 5 or 6, whatever. And Richard Kim was at those camps, along with many other Japanese instructors, Kasei, Onoida, Shirai. They were all pretty much regulars. And I used to use it as an opportunity to catch up with Sensei Hanratty and say hi to Sensei Shirai, who I also knew. But Richard Kim was an interesting character. He had his own group called the Batuka Kai. I'm not going to upset anybody, but they were almost a cult. They would follow Sensei Kim around and even into the canteen where they always commandeered a corner in the restaurant, in the cafeteria where we all had our meals between classes. Usually, you go there for breakfast and you go there for lunch, and you made your own dinners. But anyway, what they'd do is they'd all line up behind him, and he went round and he picked whatever he was having off the buffet, and they'd all pick the same thing. And then he'd sit right in the corner so that he was facing two lines of students, so it was kind of like the apex of a triangle. And he'd be talking and they'd all be listening intently. And then he'd pick up a spoonful or a forkful of food and start to chew it. And they'd all do exactly the same. The minute he stopped, they all stopped. Now, to me, that was really like a cult, and it wasn't what I thought of as karate. Now, Sensei Kim only took, I think, one class out of the week that I was there. But his assistant did some weapons instruction on the big football field just outside the gymnasium at La Jolla. If you ever went to the camps at La Jolla, they were amazing camps. A week-long instruction with fantastic instructors, morning training on the beach, then breakfast, then morning session, then lunch, then another session. It was just karate the whole week. It was a karate guy's dream, if you like. Anyway, he had this instructor, a little guy, I'm not sure if he was Chinese, but his name was Robert Leong. And he was really good at weapons. And he was teaching bow. So I thought, I've never seen this. So I decided I'd do it. And it kind of hooked me. I did it all of that year for the whole week. And we did this in the afternoon, just after the afternoon sessions in the dojo or in the main gym. I did it all that week, and then the next year I did it again. And I learned a really nice kata called Chatanyara no Konsho. And I practiced it when I got back to my own dojo. And then in 1987, I believe. We were in Vancouver, and they had the Western Canadians, and they had a weapons division. First time I'd ever heard of a weapons division, so I thought, I'll give it a go, whatever. So I borrowed a bow and just refreshed my memory off the floor a few times. Went in, and my surprise, I won the weapons division. Believe it or not, I put the bow down and I never... I didn't. I went and gave some other guy from another club some lessons, and he took third in the weapons division with the National Karate Association a few years later. But then I put the bow down and I never touched it since. It never occurred to me. It's not something you can use. It's interesting, but you can't walk around the streets with a big stick in your hand, right? The same with a bokken or Joe, nunchuckers, same thing. Okay, weapons are interesting, and they give you a little bit of a different insight into what you can do. But mainly I always looked on how I could defend against them, and where in my Shotokan katas, or the katas that I knew besides Shotokan, was the defense against these things, these weapons. And there's quite a few instances you're going to come across in your kata if you look hard enough for defense against bow or bokken or Joe or whatever. But mainly my advice would be, if somebody else has got a weapon, get yourself one or get out of there. Unless you're feeling really, really confident or you can't do it, then, get away. Because they're going to have one advantage that you don't. And when you're looking at empty hand fighting, you're probably looking at trying to level the playing field rather than giving them the advantage. So if they've got a weapon, try to find one or get off the field. But anyway, when my students approached me and said, we're going to Okinawa, and there's a kabuto session down in this trip, and did I know of a kata? So I racked my brain, and I went through it a few times on my own, and most of it came back to me, or pretty much all of it came back to me, and I started teaching bow. Now, we've always had bows in the dojo, and they're really good. They're high-quality bows, because when Patrick McCarthy came to do a session once in Calgary, and I was told he was going to do a weapons session, and so we had these bows in the dojo. It didn't materialize because we didn't have enough space, I guess, in the dojo that we were using for all the people that showed up for the session there. Because you do need a fair bit of space if you're twirling sticks around and you're going to whack somebody. But I had some bows in the dojo, and the beautiful bows, and my wife has made these amazing covers for these bows. They're perfectly covered, so these bows were in great condition. They all got these Japanese material coverings and little proper bindings at the end. So we took all the bows out, and I took 4 or 5 students after class a couple of times, and then if there wasn't too many in the class, we'd go through, and I went through basics. Some of the basics I picked up from Steve Cattle, who's quite good at bow, and some of them I remembered from this guy, Robert Leong, and some of them I just happened to see here and there. So we put together some drills, some exercises on how to handle the bow and how to be effective with it, and then eventually got back into the kata, Chetan Yara no Konsho. And amazingly, it turned out really, really good. And I'm hoping that the people who are in the class, I've picked out 3 of them and told them to practice, and we're hoping to put on a bow kata team at one of our tournaments, just for a demonstration, but just to show what you can do when you try. It doesn't matter how long ago you forgot it, and as long as you work on it, it'll come back to you. And I think it'll work out quite well. And I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully when they do go to Okinawa, they'll have a little something in their bag that they can draw on, and so it won't be entirely unfamiliar when they do their kabuto session. And I wish them all the luck. I wish I was going to Okinawa with them, but I got a feeling that I may be due for some surgery then. I'm waiting for a surgery date. However, my wife is going, and she's going to act as chaperone for our younger girls and younger guys going there. So I know they're going to have a great time. It's going to be a fantastic trip. And I just wish that was in the cards early on in my karate career. I didn't get to The only camps I ever went to were the Crystal Palace camps, which were absolutely amazing. And if you got people who go to karate camps now, they have no idea what those camps were like. The exposure you got to amazing instructors and techniques and how hard you worked to get them. Also the camaraderie that was there, especially in Crystal Palace. They had a residence there that we all stayed in, and they had a common room that they all had a kind of a party mid-camp. I just remember Sensei Hanratty doing his karaoke there. And it was the same kind of deal in the San Diego camps at La Jolla. Nishiyama ran a great camp. Van Vaden was his number 2, Sensei Van Vaden, great guy, been around a long time. And he more or less ran the camp for Nishiyama. But they had some amazing instructors. I know I took my Yondan there, I think, in 83 or so. And the people I had on the grading panel were amazing. There was a grading started at 8 o'clock at night, and because I was one of the higher grades going, we didn't get up to do our stuff until like 2 in the morning. And they had like 3 tables. So one table we did the Kion, the next table we did the Kata, and then the final table. So you moved up following the group in front of you. Because we were the last, the first table I get up to, and we didn't do too much Kion, actually, if I can remember, for Yondan. Very little. I remember doing my Kata, and I did Unsu, and Sensei Shirai was on the table, and I'm thinking, who else? I can't really remember. I do have a picture of the whole group, but I can't really remember which ones they were. And I remember doing Unsu, and then I did another Kata he asked me to do. I'm not sure if it was Niju Shiho or not now, but I remember doing Unsu and thinking, oh, God, I fancy doing this in front of Shirai. I just felt totally humbled and humiliated trying to make something of this kata. Anyway, we moved up to the tables, and all the senseis, because this was the end, they all moved up. So we got to the final table. There's like 11 instructors on the table: Kasei, Anoida, Shirai, Nishiyama. Anybody you could think of that was at those camps was there on that table, and we had to do our kumite section. And that was it. I wasn't too happy with any of it, but you do what you can, right? And just saying, though, that the camp itself was kind of amazing. We had some great parties afterwards. Lots of people seemed to just gather around the Canadians' apartment and head for the parties. I once remember Toru Yamaguchi sensei coming into the party, and all the girls had decided to fill out their chests with water balloons. This seemed to amuse Yamaguchi sensei no end. It was funny as hell. Of course, it got into a big throwing water balloon fight. But hey, what do you do when you're young? Anyway, just a little reminiscent. Once again, I'm very grateful for my 80th birthday. Grateful for at least having an 80th birthday, and all the people who did something to make it really special for me. Thank you very much. And we'll talk to you all again. Okay, bye.